this might just be the coolest upgrade for your Mac Mini M4. Dual SSDs, 40GB bandwidth, 8 ports, and a design that Apple should have probably made themselves. Let's inspect. Hey Bob, so good to meet you. I'm Michael, you can call me the Tech Mishka, and if you like cool tech inspections, maybe you can think about subscribing to the channel, or I invite you to watch this till the end and make up your mind. Now, this here, inside, is the Mac Mini M4, apparently disguised in this super cool new techie outfit, which is an 8-in-1 workstation dock made by the company Acasis. And full disclosure, they do sponsor this video. However, as usual, I have insisted on my only rule, that would be to talk not just about the positives, but also expose all the negatives and basically everything that matters to you, based on a lot of tests and personal experience. So let's go! The Acasis Dock supports dual M2 NVMe drives, and in my tests, I was consistently getting 2200 megabytes per second read and 1500 megabytes per second write speeds, almost matching the internal Mac Mini M4 SSD. That's fairly decent for a third-party dock. And here's the best part, you can load it with up to 16 terabytes of storage, meaning that your tiny Mac Mini can now dabble as a media server, project hub, or even a full-blown content production station. Now, a quick tip from experience, don't bother chasing PCI Express Generation 5 speeds here, the dock maxes out at 40 gigs anyway, so investing in ultra-expensive SSD will just waste your money. Instead, prioritize storage capacity. Affordable Gen 3 or Gen 4 drives from the past few years are ideal, and they work flawlessly in this setup. I also tested micro SD cards. For most of the U3 rated ones, I got 150 megabytes per second write and 160 megabytes per second read speeds. Flash drives and other USB devices behaved just as expected, no bottlenecks on the USB 3.1 ports. And one more clever thing, Acasis actually engineered the dock's base to match the airflow structure of the Mac Mini, which helps to minimize the Wi-Fi interference, which is something many USB 3 docks fail to address. There might be some interference, of course, but nothing that has drastically dropped the Wi-Fi consistency or speeds too much. Same about the Bluetooth behavior. Let's talk about design, because this thing looks and feels like a premium Mac accessory. Unboxing experience is great, the dock is easy to assemble with clear instructions, installing the SSDs is straightforward, just don't forget to apply the thermal pad properly. Once the metal cover is closed, it all stays firmly in place. Yes, the cover feels a bit clunky the first time you close it, but overall, fit and finish are solid. The aluminum build not only looks amazing, it also acts as a large, passive heatsink. The rubber feet are stable, and the side handles make it very portable. Honestly, I've tested a lot of docks for Mac Mini. This is my favorite design so far. Blends beautifully, adds rugged industrial tech vibe, and doesn't scream cheap accessory. Analyzing it further, if we talk about controls and indications, this dock is plug and play, but keep in mind the drives are not hot swappable, so make sure you power it down before switching the drives. Speaking of which, there is a power button on the front, which is handy if you want to disconnect without unplugging. Powers on the unit in about 7 to 8 seconds, which is super fast. And speaking of power buttons, no, the one for the Mac Mini is not obstructed, quite the opposite, it has this really decent implementation. The LED indicators show drive activity and the unit status. This is intuitive. Also, the dock runs silently. There is no active fan inside, which is great for noise-sensitive setups. You only need an external power supply connected to the PD port if you're planning to plug in a lot of power-hungry devices. Now, let's run through the ports, because they really change how the Mac Mini feels. You get 2 more display outputs, which is huge if you're not running an Apple display, full-sized USB-A ports, great for external drives, mouse, keyboards, or older accessories, micro SD and SD slots, perfect for photographers and videographers. This whole thing brings classic PC-style connectivity back to the Mac Mini, and it's very satisfying. Been using it with an external monitor, USB DAC and multiple SSDs, everything works without hiccups. The only geeky part regarding the configuration would be related to the RAID setups. The dock supports RAID 0 and RAID 1. The first one stripes the data across 2 drives for faster performance, but if one drive fails, you lose everything. RAID 1 mirrors your data for redundancy, safer, but writing speed might take a small hit, so does the maximum capacity. Unless you have a very specific use case or that's the only option of you to do mirroring, I would say just stay away from RAIDs, especially if you don't have experience with those, because the learning curve, takes some time, and there are other devices such as home NAS setups, which can be a lot more interesting, and most of them will have a dedicated storage controller. For Mac Mini users, having independent drives definitely offers greater flexibility, so I'll definitely stick to JBOD. Now, let us talk about the flows, because yes, there are a few. There is no Ethernet RJ45-based port, which feels like a missed opportunity. Some competitors managed to add a 2.5 gig port over the original 1 gigabit, and this could be solid. The dock needs a cable to connect to the Mac Mini, not a deal breaker, but would have been nice if it had an integrated connector. Rubber pads for the SSD installation could be better as well. I still prefer the classic screws, since these are not hot pluggable. Other than that, everything worked reliably, but I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is missing for you? What would you like Acasis to add in a possible future revision? So here's the bottom line, at least my version. This is not the fastest Mac Mini M4 dock on the market. It doesn't come with the greatest variety of ports and doesn't even have Thunderbolt 5 controller inside. And yet does everything super smoothly, extremely reliable, and given the placement of the ports and the ease of use, especially if you have it on your desk, and having all these peripherals easily accessible, plus the super cool and awesome design and the materials which act as a really big heatsink, it's by far my favorite Mac Mini M4 dock, something I would probably use for quite some time, because I can't really imagine switching to something else, at least not at this very point of time. And now, after sharing my own opinion, I'm really curious to hear about yours in the comment section below. Let me know, how do you feel about this Acasis model? Do you think there's anything better on the market? And are there any features you desperately need to be part of the setup? Let's carry on the conversation down there. As usual, in the video description, you're going to find more information about the product, link to order it, and some ways to support my hard work over here on the channel, because there's really a lot of background research before I publish each and every video. My name is Michael, been a pleasure to prepare all of this for you, and really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Therefore, subscribe and hit this like button. Bye!